These are pictures from earlier when Russian missiles reportedly landed in Poland, killing 2. Poland is NATO territory. NATO's organizing principle is clear. An attack on one is an attack on all, thus committing every member country to war if that is necessary to defend any single member. And the Russians today just crossed the red line laid down by President Biden and his entire administration.
To defend every single inch of NATO territory. Every single inch. Every inch. And every inch of NATO territory. And every single inch of territory that is NATO territory.
With that, good evening. I'm Leland Vittert. Welcome to the program. We're going to get to politics in a minute and the announcement from Mar-a-Lago. But we start here. If World War III begins between Russia and NATO, history, or what's left of it, will note today, November 15th, 2022, as the point of no return. That might sound dramatic, but consider this. World War I began with the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand. The world escaped nuclear war during the Cuban Missile Crisis thanks only to the cool thinking of a Soviet submarine captain and the Americans enforcing President Kennedy's quarantine. As we look around the world right now, the sun is just coming up in Bali, Indonesia. President Biden will leave the G20 conference there for a long trip back to D.C. He skipped the big dinner last night at G20 without explanation. It's 7 p.m. in Washington, where the Pentagon had little to say about today's attack. Midnight in Warsaw, Poland, where the Polish government still won't say if they are invoking Article 5 of the NATO treaty. It appears as though we're a little ways from that. 3 a.m. in Moscow, where the Russian government denies everything. They say it's fake news. The Russian Defense Ministry said the statements of the Polish media and officials about the fall of Russian missiles in this region are a deliberate provocation. Let us show you the maps. As you can see, Western Ukraine was hit with an entire barrage of missiles today, some 85 missiles. Much of the power in all of Ukraine is out. And at least one of those missiles, whether or not it had been hit already by Ukrainian anti-aircraft fire, ended up on the Polish side of the border, landed in a farm, and killed 2 farm workers. All along that border are the NATO weapons transfer points into Ukraine. So this very easily could have killed American service members. And then things would have been, shall we say, a great deal tenser. Of course, as we look, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, all countries who are watching very closely what the United States does. U.S. bases in Hungary, Germany, Belgium, the Netherlands, obviously in the United Kingdom, in Spain, in Italy as well. Just a few months ago, the Rapid Reaction Force sent to parts of Spain and Poland made their way back home. General Philip Breedlove, former NATO Supreme Allied Commander, is here with us. I am sure the man who has taken your post is having a long evening tonight, General. Are we too dramatic to say that something like this, and add a few miscalculations, is the way wars start?
Well, certainly we've had wars start on less. I think, though, that we need to just take a deep breath. Everybody in the print and in the press is jumping to Article 5. And remember that normally Article 4 precedes Article 5. And I fully expect that the ball is in Poland's court, and we'll see if they invoke an Article 4 consultation in the NAC tomorrow.
I'm thinking if you really sort of have to parse the words here. President Biden, we will defend, we will defend, we will defend every inch of NATO territory. Jake Sullivan, the National Security Advisor, all the way back in March. Take a listen.
And if there is a military attack on NATO territory, it would cause the invocation of Article 5, and we would bring the full force of the NATO alliance to bear in responding to it.
We getting to the point where defending Poland could be as simple as sending a bunch of additional Patriot missile batteries to Poland, maybe a couple of F-15 squadrons and the like, and then telegraphing to Moscow to please make sure this doesn't happen again?
Well, who knows what is going to happen, and certainly what you describe is one of the options that might happen.
What would you, if you were the Supreme Allied Commander right now, what would be your advice for a response?
Give us about a day to let the dust settle and figure out what happened.
Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.